Welcome back to the Modcast. My name's Gabe Anderson.
I'm Jake Overall.
And we're here to talk about modifying some stuff in a second. So, we first just want, I, because I was the one talking about it, would like to make a correction. We were corrected by Mr. Sam Albert of Sam Albert Rally himself. The engine out of his car is out of a Ferrari California. I believe I said it was out of a Maserati, which is incredibly fucking wrong. And I apologize for that. I just wanted to set the record straight on that because I do respect the car and the build and everything, and I want to make sure that the correct info is out in the world on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I guess we're going back to some other episodes, I want to say that quick update on Relativity Space. They actually sent that mother into the air, and then just like the previous methane rocket, the second stage didn't make it to orbit. So they're now neck and neck, but they're at least as good as the traditionally built rocket with the same fuel source.
That's pretty impressive. So this is still a 3D printed rocket we're talking about. I mean,
yep.
First to do it, and it's already on par.
If they put up another one in 60 days, I'll be very impressed.
Yeah.
That was their goal. Who knows? If it's 120, I mean, still, but they had some others.
Who cares? If they cut the time in half, they're still, 5 years?
Yeah.
If they put one up in 5 years, they're still beating the traditional rocket?
Yeah,
come
they're
on.
doing pretty good. So, yeah, that's wicked cool, though. Mad excited about that.
Yeah. So I think that was pretty good for our little updates then.
Yeah, a little callback to...
Once again, if Sam Albert has the opportunity to listen to this again, I apologize.
We're wrong more often than not, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's part of doing this, though, is we're trying to learn and...
help everybody else learn along the way.
Talk about modifying stuff.
Absolutely. Big modifier, Rob Dahm, talked about him before. Just wanted to say that he has a video out about his Formula Mazda car that he bought to practice driving an open-wheel downforce car.
I didn't know about this. Of course he bought a rotary car.
Yep. I was looking these up earlier. You can get them for like $20,000.
That's way less than I would have expected.
Yep. And I believe it's a 1.6 liter, so it's a 2-rotor. It's carbureted. Super reliable. And his cooldown lap was faster than the second fastest car at Willow Springs that day other than him.
His cooldown lap. That's impressive.
So his first lap out, he spun out.
Of course. It's an open wheel car. I mean, you have to get used to driving something like that.
And it doesn't like the whole trail braking thing if you're not used to it, and you definitely get lock up pretty easy.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Second lap, got 1 minute 29 seconds. Pretty good. Narrow that down to a 1:22. So he shaved 7 seconds off. And then on the next lap that he spun was the first time he tried fifth gear wide open throttle through one of the straight sections.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was thrilled by that.
Oh, yes. But he controlled it, got it stopped, and basically timed the roll, put it in reverse, and clutch kicked the car and started it again because he stalled.
That's really cool.
Yep.
So that's really cool.
Mad props to him for
He's
that.
a great driver. I mean, that's another thing. Like, he's a madman. Like, I mean, I remember when he first talked about building the 4-rotor all-wheel drive RX-7. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And
out of control.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say he got overshadowed by his car for a period of time, but, I mean, more people knew about the car itself at one point. And, I mean, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he's a wicked smart guy.
So he doesn't want to die the first time he drives his 4-rotor Indy car that he's building, so he got this thing to practice.
Which I can't say I blame him.
He got down to a 119.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to get some seat time and something like that before jumping right into the most insane thing he's probably ever going to drive. Yeah. So, and that's saying something because he owns the 4-rotor all-wheel drive RX-7. Mm-hmm. So
he says this thing's already making him a better driver.
That's cool.
So
I really like that.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. We also get to talk about, so I only just found this is a terrible transition, but a transition it is. I saw this morning an article about this new patent that Subaru put out.
I'm pissed.
So this is for the STE logo and trademarks and all of that jazz. And the speculation right now is that the STE is going to replace the STI, which to our rant from the last episode, they did change the name. It's not technically an STI.
They molested it.
they did still kind of run the name through the dirt. And
Yeah.
me being a current Subaru owner and a fan of STIs, I'm not really a fan of this.
Nope, not at all. And we're seeing more and more recently, like, here's this disgusting...
I think it's just a rendition or something, but...
No, this is a real car.
Oh. I wish you hadn't told me that.
It's also not actually a Subaru.
I would say that's a Toyota, isn't it?
Yep. That's the
What I thought.
BZ4X, I believe,
Yeah.
with an STI wing on the back, which is a really gross thing to put an STI wing on.
Yeah. Some more dragging it through the mud.
Yeah, so that's fun. STE, woohoo.
Yeah.
Electric cars, not a fan.
No, but if you are into electric cars and the electric car prototyping, and you don't necessarily have the ability, the money, the experience to do any of that stuff, along with some other parts manufacturing, I have this thing I just discovered that I would like to share with everybody, which is the SEMA Garage.
SEMA Garage.
Yes. So, this is SEMA's new R&D department that you can basically go to, and they have lifts, they have tools, they have 3D scanners, they have 3D printers, they have, vehicle measuring sessions, they have fully equipped bays, and they even have emissions testing and certification, and will help you get your aftermarket parts that you're R&D designing made it so it's legal, so anybody can buy it. This is a fantastic thing. Now, from what I've seen and what I've read in the little bit of research I've done into this so far, there's 2 locations currently.
Okay.
SEMA headquarters, which I believe is... I'm actually not even going to say where that is because I'm not sure where it is, but it is SEMA headquarters is the one, and then Detroit, Michigan is the second one.
Makes sense.
So if anybody is in the Michigan area listening at this point, and you have some parts that you've been wanting to try and build, they have it there. They also are fully equipped with all of the manufacturer's CAD files for their suspension, so you don't actually have to make custom, like, mock-up pieces. They have everything you need to do CAD work.
That's
in-house.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's revolutionary. I hope that spreads.
I really do, too. I mean, this is the second location opened, I think they said it was in 2021 when I read it earlier, which was the Detroit location.
Right.
But yeah, they have... just a couple of things. If you're looking on the video version right now, you can just see they have, well, kind of the stuff I had mentioned. I don't know what the vehicle ADAS is, but I'm pretty sure they said they have dynos, they have all sorts of different stuff at this place. Don't quote me on everything they have, but they can make your parts emission compliant. They have training centers.
ADAS, Advanced Driver Assistance Systems.
There you go. Oh, that's right. That's like...
radar control, blind spot monitoring, lane stability control.
Yep.
We have tons of that stuff. That's really cool.
So, and they actually also, you can see in the electrification, they are actually also supporting people trying to get into the EV market, which...
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
At the end of the day, as long as you're modifying stuff, I like my internal combustion engines.
Yep.
But really, at the end of the day, the whole point of hot rodding and doing this is to be innovative, and if that's the current innovations, then I'm at least halfway here for it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally support it. I just don't want it to completely take over. That's the only thing, is when you mandate that we can't have the other things just for this, that's when it starts to bug me.
Yeah, you should have the right to choose what you want to be able to drive, what you want to modify, and all that stuff.
Why can't STI and STE both exist?
That's my problem.
Like, why can't we have...
Or with a lot of the cars, like hybrids.
Yeah.
Plug-in hybrid stuff, you know?
Hybrid is probably one of the better solutions if you're really looking for a dramatic impact on the daily driver.
All the torque with crazy horsepower.
Yeah, and there's no intercooler piping. There's nothing like that. It's usually it runs a ATF in the actual transaxle and inverter in its own coolant system. It's pretty
That's
basic.
really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like a Toyota Prius, their front radiator it's got 2 separate coolers within it. So one is for the inverter and one is for the actual engine that you have to drain independently of one another. So
that's really cool.
That
the innovation behind it is crazy. There's all the respect in the world of people that are trying to do it. It's just not for me personally.
Yeah, we do like modifying stuff with ICE engines. I mean, it's just
I like making stuff go boom.
They make noise.
They make noise. There's no soul if there's no noise. That's just the thing, though.
So, we bring up SEMA. You've also brought up the fact that you went to UNOH.
I did.
Should we maybe tell the folks that you are actually the SEMA scholarship recipient?
I was. In the year 2019 at SEMA, I not only won a SEMA scholarship. Now, it was a massively packed year. I think actually like 30 people won the scholarship. Don't quote me on the number, but a lot of people won the scholarship that year, and a lot from UNOH as well. Mm-hmm. I lived in a dorm-style house, and actually me and 3 other people that lived in my house won.
That's awesome.
It was a great celebration night, I'll tell you that for sure. Mm-hmm. But I won a secondary award on top of it.
Okay.
And I kind of want to spotlight the guy that this award was dedicated to, because it's not a name that people know, and It's a name that people should know.
Yeah, I would say so.
So in the secondary award that I won the John Menzler Award from the Hot Rod Industry Alliance, which was, this is John on the screen here. So in 2014, he was inducted into the SEMA Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, this was the year after his death. He was inducted posthumously.
Rest in peace.
And he was a great guy. I'm actually even a little choked up over it now. I really wish I could have met him. I was able to meet his daughter, Christy.
Okay.
And her husband, who actually, the night I won my award, was wearing basically a costume of John. So it was.
That's awesome.
I have a picture. I'll have to find the picture. We'll get it in the video here. I have a picture of him somewhere, too, wearing John's full comp performance setup.
Nice.
But John Menzler, he passed away at the age of 67 in the year 2013. He was into all sorts of automotive-related things, and he was a massive proponent of the aftermarket. He worked for, and this is what I found crazy, Bear Brakes, Centerline Wheels, Dart Engines, Manly Performance, the National Hot Rod Association, or NHRA, Classic Instruments, and Good Guys, as well as his last job working for the Comp Performance Group, like Comp Cams.
Wow. That's an impressive resume.
That's an insane resume.
Yeah, it is.
He also was on the chair, or he chaired multiple different organizations as well as owning his own automotive SEMA brands. So he owned 2 brands, being Inventive Marketing. I tried doing some research on that. There's what I believe is another company by the same name now.
Okay.
So I couldn't find much about his Inventive Marketing.
Sure.
But then a product I actually own, which is called MotoFeet.
Okay.
Which is actually, it's something we could bring up. We'll have it hyperlinked in the end of the video or something. MotoFeet is a style of engine cradle, which is the only cradle on the market that can hold a engine and a full transmission dressed.
Wow.
At the same time.
That's pretty wild.
And it basically just turns your engine into a little dolly. It uses the factory motor mounts on the side, and then it's triangulated down to a base with 4 caster wheels. 1 motor mount for each side.
That's awesome.
And you can wheel your engine around. It's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah. That makes moving things like that so much easier. And if you're going to bunch of them, you can store them that way, too, if you really needed to. Like,
seriously, that's the whole thing.
Put a crate around it.
Yeah.
It's...
You can ship them that way. That's the thing. You can ship on them. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Absolutely fantastic product. Now, John Menzler was also his industry accolades and awards. In the year 1988, he won the NHRA Division 4 Person of the Year. In the year 2000, he won the Motorsports Parts Manufacturers Council Industry Recognition Award.
Okay.
In 2010, that's the MPMC. In 2010, he was inducted into the MPMC Hall of Fame. So while he was still alive, I'm glad he was able to at least actually accept award for one.
Yeah.
2010, he was the SEMA Businesswomen's Mentor of the Year.
Wow. In
2011, he was the SEMA Person of the Year. Posthumously, he was given, I couldn't get an exact date on this one. He died, I believe it was October of 2013. And it was listed before his 2014 induction to the SEMA Hall of Fame. So I'm assuming end of 2013, he won the Dick Dixon Legacy Award from the Hot Rod and Restoration Trade Show.
Wow.
This man was highly, highly respected.
Yeah, he was everywhere, and it seems like it was his heart and soul. Like, it was everything for him.
He a quote from him. He also, sometime during 2010, started a little quotes, like, Facebook page. It was called Mornings with Menzler.
Okay.
And a quote that I pulled was, "Life doesn't come with a remote, so you got to get up and change it yourself."
Okay.
And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
A quote from his daughter. All of this is what can be found in the SEMA article that we have here on screen. Anything to do with transportation, a wagon, a tricycle, if it moved, he thought he could make it go faster. It didn't matter.
It's probably true, though.
He was a man after my own heart. He liked modifying stuff. And
everything.
I mean, every single thing that I saw regarding John Menzler, people said he had a ferocious handshake, apparently a very large hand type of guy.
Looks like a big dude.
But nobody could be in a bad mood around him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was a massive proponent of SEMA. If he was talking to companies that weren't SEMA members, he did everything in his power to try and get them to join, and he showed them the benefits. Same thing with individuals.
Definitely.
He's the epitome of what I want to do, really. I want to share the message of modifying stuff.
And help other people do it so they can enjoy it too.
Yeah. I'm really sad that I never got a chance to meet him. Like I said, I'm tickled that I was able to meet his daughter and her husband.
Yeah, that's still really cool.
All I can do is hope that I can make even the smallest version of an impact that he was able to do. If I can just help one other person see what we like to see and help them figure out what they want to do, I'd be happy, honestly.
Well, you already helped me do that in my lifetime, so...
All right, 2, because you don't count.
Yeah. That's fair. So, what was his affiliation with the NHRA you mentioned?
The HRIA.
Okay. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. NHRA. He was... if I remember correctly at that point in time, he was on the board at some point, or he was a... ambassador for them. I know he was comp performance ambassador at one point. He was also their sales leader at one point. So.
Okay, so he liked going fast and he liked selling things that go fast.
Now I will say I couldn't figure out in the wording I had seen. I don't know if he was like the leader of sales, like he had the best sales numbers, or if he was like the lead of a sales team.
Sure,
but he was the sales leader.
Like the
manager.
What I was.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, very important guy. Dodge just recently released their...
Yeah, he would have liked to have seen this.
Yeah, he would have loved this. I think it's a little bittersweet, though, given that it is supposedly the last of the great V8s.
Which is, if there's one thing that I can always expect from Dodge, and it's to not disappoint me. Except with the electric thing, different story. Yeah. But when it comes to, hey, we're going to make something bigger, badder, faster, and louder, specifically with an exhaust, they don't disappoint.
No, they did a very good job. They've got the Dodge Demon 170.
I know some stuff about this car, but I need to know some more stuff about this car.
I found a lot of stuff about this car.
This might get a little nerdy from what I've heard, but
yeah, it's
the Modcast.
We're going to nerd the hell out here.
Talking about modifying stuff.
So, ready for this?
Yep.
40% more boost.
Okay. Right off the get-go, please tell me this is the only the tip of the iceberg.
Only the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
40% more boost could just be a cliff note. That's why I'm saying it first.
All right.
0 to 60, 1.6 seconds.
What?
You pull 2.004 Gs on acceleration.
Why? For a dead stop. That's
dead stop.
Dodge. Thank you.
Part of that has to do with their transmission, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So they're making 3,300 of these things, 300 going to Canada, which are going to be the big money items.
Yes. To anybody that has any sort of money, buy a Canadian one if you can. It's going to be worth a ton of money.
Yeah. 10% of pretty much 10% of the total volume is in one place.
Yeah. You got to do it.
1,025 horsepower at 6,500 RPM. 945 pound-feet of torque at 4,200 RPM.
Wow. Okay, so it's a torque machine.
It is a torque machine. Gets 900 horsepower and 810 torque on E10 fuel.
Really?
Really.
That's insane.
So, like, pump gas.
I would say that's 10% ethanol. Anybody, if you go to the pump, depending on what state you're in, at least around us here, it's up to 15% ethanol around here?
In the wintertime, we get E15. Generally, we get E10 in the warmer months.
Okay.
And that's pretty standard across warm climates is E10.
Okay.
So, that is the key.
Okay.
Remember
900 pump.
I think it was the last Demon, you could get the black set of keys, and then there was a red set of keys.
Wasn't there also, didn't you have to do like an ECU swap too? Like...
So the ECU would recognize the key fob. That's what the difference was. But they gave you skinnies for the front, and
it was like the Demon crate.
Yeah, they had the drag package that you could get for an additional $1.
Yeah. You could get your passenger seat for $1.
Right.
Like,
so this has one key, and they're all red.
Nice.
So they banned the black keys. You only get red key. What determines how much horsepower you get is 100% dependent on what you put in the gas tank.
Interesting. So it's a flex fuel sensor car.
Yes.
Okay.
It has an ethanol sensor built in to the fuel rail, and it will alert you on your dash of different colors to tell you how much horsepower you can use.
Interesting.
So
that's very interesting.
When it sees it above, I think it said like 60% ethanol, you get a blue emblem.
Okay.
And that tells you got it all. It's literally the Coors beer can.
That's insane.
This is the monster here.
I mean, man.
Look at this thing.
That picture, second row right in the middle there, the one to the right. That's my favorite option I think you can get on this car, personally.
Because you need it.
It's a factory parachute, for anybody that doesn't know. This is a car you can buy that you can option to have a parachute.
That's so insane.
It's Dodge. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for doing this.
Just to see it happen once, I'm happy.
Yeah, yes.
Now,
finally, somebody gets it.
You need to use the parachute. But this does share a similarity involving the NHRA with the last Demon, and it was on one NHRA certified track once and banned.
Yep. No roll cage.
No roll cage. Runs faster than a 10. Sorry, Dodge!
Our recommendation for anybody who buys one of these is the one modification you need to make to this car is to put a freaking roll cage in it.
Yep.
So you can race it.
Yeah, go make it... I mean, what was the... I've seen some passes... What do we have any quarter-mile times right now?
8.91 seconds to the quarter mile at 151.17 mile per hour.
This is a car that I'm sure every single one's allotted for already. But
yes,
this is a car that, in theory, you just walk into a dealership and buy.
Yeah.
What?
So, of course, there's many other things about this car that make it capable of that 1,000 horsepower reliably.
Okay.
So, they modified the supercharger. It's got a bigger snout because,
bigger bearings.
More bearing, and they were able to get much more boost out of this. They increased it, like I said, by 40%, so they get over 20 PSI now.
Okay.
It's got a 3-inch pulley, 3.02-inch pulley, but they changed the throttle body. It's a 105mm throttle body now.
Okay.
Which gives you a substantial flow rate upgrade.
More air in means more air compressed means more air into the engine.
They beefed up the driveline. You got a bigger ring gear. 53% stronger diff because they use aerospace metal materials to build the diff.
That is probably going to explain some of the price tag with this.
Yes.
But to be able to do 1,000 horsepower reliably, and this isn't like a vehicle that they intend for you to just go drive around, like rolling at 1,000 horsepower versus digging from 1,000 horsepower.
Right. Yeah.
Much different circumstances.
Yes. Factory 315 50R17 Mickey Thompson's ET Street R.
That's insane.
Streetcar tires.
Streetcar.
Those are street tires.
Comes with drag radials,
Yeah, drag radials. Cheaters, basically.
Yeah, cheater slicks.
Keep cheating. I like it. It looks good on you. Trans brake 2.0 patent pending.
2.0 patent pending. Okay.
That's the fancy part of this car.
You had kind of alluded to the transmission.
So that in combination with its adaptive dampening shocks with a drag mode.
Of course.
that you can calibrate based on
track condition.
Which is exactly what the Transbrake launch control system is all about with their patenting. You can literally have multiple maps for different track conditions. So if you've got wet or unprepped or whatever, you can have torque delivery and shift things pre-programmed into the 8-speed transmission so that you get the best time.
That's insane.
Like, you literally just set it up and then hold on and steer.
I mean, it's as close as you're going to get to a legal 8.9 second quarter-mile car as you possibly can. I mean, it needs a cage. You put a damn cage in it, and you have a legal car again.
It's insane. Let's see. Oh, the injectors are capable of flowing 164 gallons of fuel an hour, which is more than the average U.S. shower head.
Can you say the word gallons?
164 gallons per hour through the injectors.
That's insane. I'm assuming at wide open throttle, but still.
Yes,
oh my goodness.
That's their peak capability, but it's quite impressive.
I appreciate that.
They coated their intake valves in nitride.
Of course.
So, for whatever that gives you here. Any class of chemical compounds in which nitrogen is combined with an element of similar or lower electronegativity, such as boron, silicon, and most metals. It's probably for heat, if I had to guess.
Heat dissipation, or maybe they figured out they gained 0.01% of airflow for doing that. Right. I mean, leave it to Dodge. They'll do stuff like that.
They'll figure it out. If it has to do with horsepower, they're going to do it. So, try to get through the rest of the stuff. I mean, So when you're in your launch setting, when you have the Transbrake set up, your allowable throttle is up to 2,350 RPM. So you're getting 110% increase of torque at engine stall.
That's insane.
So they hold it all together. They've got a 43 spline, 43 spline rear axles going into the diff.
That's big boy numbers.
And they made the drive shaft bigger and stronger.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, Jake, but just for example, my pickup truck's rear end has 30 spline axles.
Right. So this has 13 more.
Oh my goodness.
Big boy axles.
Okay.
So basically, with all the things that they've done, they're steel studded with steel inserts already.
Okay.
Which allows them a 38% increase in clamp load. So maximum cylinder pressure they're seeing in these things is 2,500 psi.
The head bolts, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, head bolts.
So
okay.
They're studs though.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So it's literally a race engine. Main caps, it only shares a camshaft with the original Demon engine. Everything else is completely built to just destroy things.
Now, we gotta speculate real quick. Did they get the camshaft that correct in the first Demon, or did they run out of R&D money?
Probably the latter. It actually shares way more with the Elephant crate motor than anything else.
I'm actually not surprised by that.
Which is literally why...
That's impressive. That says a lot for what the Elephant is then, really.
Exactly. So the code on the crate was the C170, which is why the Demon is the Demon 170.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yep. So, it's pretty insane. Like I said, 2,500 psi on E85 in the cylinder. That's 32% higher than the Hellcat Red Eye. So, it's not even close.
They're going out with a bang, and I mean, if they're actually truly going to stop building stuff like this, then I can only ask for them to go all out with giving you a production high 8 second quarter mile car.
Yeah.
Dodge is known for their drag racing. They embody it fully.
They even gave you something to deal with your sorrows of the fact that this is the last of the big V8s.
Yeah.
They gave you a decanter to drink out of.
Oh, man, I don't even want to know how much one of those is going to run. That's if you're even going to be able to get one.
Yeah, if you can get one of these cars, this comes with it. It's all drawn. It's got your VIN tag on there. It's got your name.
Insane.
It's a full custom deal.
Start looking for total Demon 170s, and we gotta figure out who owns them so we can get one of these.
Yeah,
we need this for display.
This would be really cool to put on a shelf.
Yeah, right.
Little whiskey glasses.
What are all the signatures for in the back? Do you know anything about that?
Nope. It said it was at least in the article that I read, was a custom drawing. I'm not sure what the signatures are.
I wonder if it's like the build team or something.
Probably.
I'm gonna see if I can figure anything out about that, because I'm very intrigued by that. I enjoy craftsmanship and taking pride in your work. So if that's like all of the builders' names for the cars, I would be very, very into that.
I'm wondering what the hell is going to happen to this in the aftermarket, if there's any of them that are actually going to get like even more moonshotted than this already is.
Oh, are you kidding me? I give it a year. At max.
I'll raise you 6 months.
Ooh.
Somebody will have broken into this thing and made it even more ridiculous.
I could be into that.
I
hope it happens. I mean, well, actually, not only do I hope it happens, I know it's going to happen. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Some of these cars are going to probably get stuck away to be sold in 20, 30, 40 years. That's to be expected.
Sure.
But at least a handful are going to hit the tracks.
If they didn't do that, though, like if they didn't put them in the garage, then us, 20 years from now, at our age, wouldn't know about it because they'd all be destroyed.
Exactly. They'd all be shells of their former self. I think cars are meant to be driven, so eventually I think cars should be driven.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing, I guess, wrong with putting it in a garage and letting it accrue insane amounts of value, especially if you get one of those Canadian VIN numbers.
I'm shelling for the Canadian one. That's what I want.
Hey, low production number, that's all we're looking for.
So, there was another car that had a V8 in it that no longer does, and it makes me kind of sad.
Okay.
The Flying Miata LS swap.
Oh, really?
They discontinued this last November. They literally stated that they are basically an internet store and not like a custom shop anymore.
That's very unfortunate, actually.
Like, they still do, like, I think probably content creation and work on their own stuff for the most part, and then they sell products. But they said that it was more of a hassle to do the actual V8 swaps on the cars than was worth it for them. So
that's unfortunate. I hate to see... I mean, they have to do what's best for their brand. They have to stay afloat, and they have to do what, honestly, it's their brand, what they want with it. I would have liked to have seen it continue, but I respect them for still at least modifying them.
Right, and the knowledge is out there, which is good.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
There's plenty of LSs out there. You could still do this to a Miata. It's just,
they're everywhere.
This is like the dudes that were doing it. And I remember looking up to them back in the day because, I always wanted to swap a Miata with something.
You're putting a big engine in a little car. Come on.
It's got a better power to weight than most Lamborghinis when you do that. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Actually, last year's Grid Life, there was a guy running I believe it was an NB or an NC. I don't remember totally off the top of my head. But it was a 5.3 liter car, individual throttle body,
cool.
with traction control too.
Oh.
So he would just be wide open through the corners with an ignition cut that just sounded heavenly.
Oh, I bet that was great. I need to put that in my car on the track.
Absolutely.
Speaking of other things to put in my car, just wanted to talk about inner chillers real quick.
So I have sort of an idea of what this is, but I want you to tell me about this.
So the Demon does this.
Okay.
That's why it's so relevant, but you can buy a kit to make your car do this as well.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So you can, pretty much any car that is boosted, especially, I think one of these should be on there.
So what exactly is this that we're talking about here?
So you know how guys at the strip will have like an ice tank?
Yeah.
In the back of their...
Yeah, for like a air-to-water intercooler or something.
Right.
Okay.
So what this does is it changes your cooling source from a tank in the back of your car to the refrigerant from your air conditioning system.
Interesting. So this is a thermodynamic drop in temperature.
Right.
Well, I guess it all is technically, but you're using the thermodynamics of your air conditioning system.
Yep. Which means you can also retain your air conditioning system in your car if it's also a street car, like a kind of half and half thing.
Yep. Okay.
There are companies that offer these with a full-time diverter valve mode. They call it their drag mode, like your kill button.
That's cool.
So it like freezes the crap out of your coolant system that goes to your intercooler, because usually they plumb a separate coolant system just for the water to air in this case.
Yep.
Because the coolant temperature is literally going to be 14 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
So you don't want your regular engine coolant constantly being stuck that cold.
Yeah. Shot that low just to be jacked right back up.
Right.
That's engine warpage, and that's
right.
Not stuff
you run it separate.
Okay.
But you use regular antifreeze coolant.
Okay.
And yeah, seeing some companies have claimed they literally held a thermometer on, like one of those imaging ones.
Yep.
On the coolant as it was passing through the reservoir, and it said 2 degrees Fahrenheit.
What?
So they've had intake air temperatures as low as like 20 or 30 degrees on an 80-degree day.
So you're saying this is boost season always?
Always.
Okay. I like that.
Always boost season.
And I mean, it's going to be much less effective, but I mean, if your car has air conditioning, this works. So you don't even need a boosted car technically.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to see crazy gains.
Correct. But more, stable numbers for air to fuel.
That's insane.
That it's more dense air just because it's cold.
Now, I will say, I'm sure this is a little harsh, because I know this is an idea that, before knowing of brands like this, I know you had come up with this idea a while ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody else had.
I saw the Demon, so it's not entirely mine, but then I started looking at components that maybe I could use to make something like this.
Hey, I want to try and do it.
Right. Well, these guys do it, so why would I...
Let's just go buy their parts.
Continue the R&D.
Support some more aftermarket.
Exactly. Just keep these guys going and help them out. There's a few companies that do it. I like this site the most, I think. They do a lot of LS stuff, which is pretty sick, and I know you would like.
I'm an LS guy.
Especially Cadillacs.
Now you really have my attention, because I am a massive fan of the new Cadillacs.
Mm-hmm. So I think...
Newer Cadillacs.
I watched an Engine Masters episode where they were doing intercoolers versus water meth injection.
Yep.
And they were seeing... Granted, it was on an LS with a stock intake manifold, which really isn't designed to flow like actual liquid. It's supposed to be dry.
Yeah.
So they were pretty unsure what cylinders were getting what kind of distribution and how that was affecting the motor. But intercooler did make more stable, I think. The temperature was lower, but given the sensors right behind the throttle body, it's kind of hard to know with the water meth injection.
That's fair.
But with this, you may not even need water meth injection at all, because...
You have just such crazy intake temps that...
Right, and the best part is if you are using this on a drag vehicle, so to speak...
Yep.
After your burnout, the system's actually working better because the temperatures are higher. So the thermal efficiency is there still because it's refrigerant.
That's very interesting.
So it actually works better after.
It gets hotter on one end, it gets colder on the other end, and then it just works. That's really cool.
I feel like it's kind of like the missing link in the boosted vehicle world to make them like ultra reliable.
And I mean, let's be honest, race cars don't need AC, so we'll just plumb the pump only for that, and then it's less weight savings as well.
But if you adapt it to your street car, it's not a big deal to just put in that diverter valve and have it all the time mode. But yeah, it seems pretty cool. I think it would...
I really dig that. I really dig that people are going that hard into modifying stuff.
We need to. I mean,
you make it better.
Yeah. There's always a way.
My wife and I were having a discussion the other day. Mm-hmm. I don't remember exactly how we got to it, but I said something along the lines of, I don't understand the people in this world that think that cars produced by the manufacturer are the best version of that car. They're the best mass-produced version of that car.
Absolutely.
But there is absolutely... You cannot change my mind on the fact that the aftermarket will always produce a better version of something.
Yeah, in whatever way you particularly like.
Because instead of it just being generic use for working on the car, it's specialized for exactly what you want it to do. Mm-hmm. And I just... I don't understand it.
That's why I have 6 snowmobiles, because they all do different things a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly.
They have various uses. Like, you don't use the same soap for your laundry, your hair, your body, and your car.
Depends. I'm sure there's a men's soap somewhere that's multi-purpose like that. But
yeah, you can wash and wax your car with the same soap you wash your body with. I'm sure there's something like that out there.
which please don't do that.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Like, don't do that.
So you obviously brought a really cool brand. I guess I have one I can show. Mm-hmm. Nowhere near as cool in the technology as this. Okay. But it is still cool nonetheless. So this company, which I'm totally forgetting, I believe it's Everson Performance. Okay. So these guys specifically sell a electronic actuated light bar adjusting mount, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like a mounting bracket.
If you're watching the screen here, they have a little video going where they're showing their actuator working on the side of a light bar, and it's just tilting the bar up and down.
Okay.
So this has a couple of different cool uses, at least from what I've seen after I saw this. And you could use it as like a high-low beam system.
Yeah.
So there's nothing I hate more than driving down the road and the massive lifted truck with the 8,500 light bars all over it pointed directly into my soul.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
You don't need that. You should be able to lower it.
Exactly. If you were to hook it up in like a high-low beam situation, sure, if they want to be able to pretend like they're the sun going down the road, then they can have it in high beam mode and blind everybody.
Yeah.
Or they could just flip it to low beam and it would tilt all of their bars down, making it so they can still see way too well in front of them and not blind everybody else going down the road.
Right.
It's just a cool thing. Or I'm sure there's other ways it can be used where if you're driving down the road in a racing application, you're on uneven sources and you crest a hill and you want to see what's in front of you before you make a descent. Like if you're off-roading, angle your light bar down, now you can see what's coming. You know you're not going to roll over as soon as you crest a hill type of thing.
Right, yeah. I know how I would use that in racing.
Okay.
I'd build a DRS system out of that.
So you're saying no light bar and use it as a full...
Oh, you could have it on the light bar too. Yeah, have a full wing that, you got a long straight, fold the wing out.
Yeah,
lose the drag. Go fast. That's what they do in Formula 1,
Yeah.
They just use it strategically within the race. But, yeah, this, little actuator, and that has a lot of uses, I think.
It does. But, I mean, even just in the intended purpose where they have it here, I mean, I think it's a great design.
Yeah,
it's something that should be spotlighted. It's something I never would have thought of.
It's a great little system you got there, and like you said, that's always the problem. You're rolling down the street and you just get your soul X-rayed by their light.
Yeah, and it's not fun. It's not safe.
Right.
It really isn't safe. I mean, that's a big thing. Is we are proponents of safety in this as well.
Yeah. Don't just be stupid.
No. Like if you're modifying, at least have an idea of what you're doing.
And a purpose.
And the idea and purpose behind this is it can be used for safety. It is for safety, really.
Right.
I mean, whether it's like my example of over a crest of a hill, knowing what's in front of you, or not, blinding people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I think with that, I believe that's Modcast.
I think that's the Modcast for tonight. My name's Gabe Anderson.
I'm Jake Overall.
Have a good night, everybody.